So CCXP22 has come and there were a host of trailers. Marvel had their time to shine. There was an Ant-Man footage that was shown, and the big one, Guardians of the Galaxy 3, the trailer was officially released, and I'm here with a video to break down all the Easter eggs and subtle details and information about some of these new characters that we are meeting for the first time in this trailer. So let's get right into it. So we start off with the Marvel Studios logo, and the design customized for this movie is done to resemble Peter Quill's cassette tape in the first movie. The song playing in the trailer is by Space Hulk, titled In the Meantime, and by some weird coincidence or knowing James Gunn and his choice of music for his films, the song was a lead single on their band's album Resident Alien, so it's like the perfect song made for our Guardians. We now see the ship of the Guardians of the Galaxy called the Bowie, named after David Bowie, cause Peter always names his ships after his favorite pop stars. They arrive on Earth, or so we think, and we get a look at our Guardians in their new suits, comic accurate ones at that, from the Annihilation Conquest run in which these versions of the Guardians of the Galaxy teamed up for the first time. Now once they exit the ship, we are taken aback from these creatures, or these humanoid looking aliens, greeting them, since our first thought was that this was Earth, which isn't. This may be Counter Earth, the High Evolutionary's creation, an artificial replica of Earth where he can freely experiment as much as he wants without any prying eyes and interruptions. It's almost an exact counterpart of Earth and even orbits on the exact opposite side of the sun. But the only difference is that time moves uniquely there, making him able to speed up his experiments. As you can see here, these residents are his experiments, just like Rocket, and which is why this place looks like an American suburb on Earth, and it looks like the Guardians have just stumbled onto this, which the High Evolutionary will not be so happy about. And of course, Drax ruins this peaceful introduction.
Come on, Drax. Seriously, dude?
We then see Peter sad on his ship, listening to his music on his tape and probably thinking of Gamora. We hear and then see Mantis saying,
"Don't forget where we came from."
And with that, we see a baby raccoon, our baby Rocket, and that's probably the High Evolutionary trying to experiment on him at this point. And wow, it's just a scary and sad scene, but mostly traumatizing for him. We are going to get an origin story for Rocket in this movie on how he was turned into this humanoid creature with his intelligence raised so high, like he's one of the smartest people that we know in this Marvel universe, and with the ability to walk and talk.
I didn't ask to get made. I didn't ask to be torn apart and put back together over and over.
And as James Gunn said, Rocket is going to be one of the main characters, as the story and mostly the villain revolves around him and his past. We now see our Guardians jumping off their ship onto the High Evolutionary's planet, and it then looks absolutely disgusting and terrifying, and kind of has that Ego Planet feel and look to it, like some living organic structure. Right away, you will notice the color of their space suits, which gamers or Among Us players will recognize, but they also resemble the colors of the Infinity Stones. Some may even reference it to Stanley Kubrick's 2001 film A Space Odyssey. We now get our first look at Gamora, who is the 2014 version of her who we last saw in Avengers Endgame. In the D23 version of this trailer though, there were some scenes where Peter was meeting Gamora for the first time and trying to introduce himself, and then finds out that she's now the leader of the Ravagers, which is why in this particular shot she's wearing their uniform. And of course, she's a totally different person from the Gamora we knew. She never went through all that life-changing journeys with the Guardians and never got to fall for Peter. Now the picture she's looking at is probably a picture that Peter has given to her of them together. He's trying to get her to trust him and remember who she was, or the future version of her essentially, and maybe ease her into fall in love with him over again. I think the movie Nebula is going to be part of the reasons why she joins the Guardians, pull her to their side and get her to see reason, just like how our Gamora used to do for her in the first two films. We saw that briefly too in Avengers Endgame. The next shot is them being back on Nowhere. We got to learn from the holiday special that they had bought the place from the collector. I mean, that is a huge purchase, cause just look at the place. But anyway, it confirms that the collector survived Thanos in Avengers Infinity War, which most people thought that he was killed considering how destroyed most of the place was. But him being one of the elders of the universe, I'm pretty sure he's hard to kill. We also see Cosmos with the team. The Space Dog was in the holiday special as well, and is supposed to play her own big role in this movie and will be voiced by Maria Bakalova.
I refuse to do any more work while you demean me.
All right.
Also, I want one of those delicious treats in that bag.
Kraglin also continues to be a part of the team. We then see Peter passed out and carried by Nebula. Perhaps he tried to get too close and comfy with this Gamora and she knocked him out. Or he just got drunk, as we see Rocket also drinking something here. Nebula's character arc is going to continue in this movie as well. She's grown from the last two movies to even the Avengers movies, especially Endgame.
Congratulations. Fair game. Good sport.
It was fun.
To the holiday special, where her personality has borderline changed for the better, even though she tries to make an appearance that she's still hardcore. She now sees the Guardians as her friends and family, so much so that in the holiday special she went to Earth and got Bucky's arm for Rocket Raccoon as his gift. Obviously, Bucky is going to get his arm back. I mean, he's in the Thunderbolts and he's really gonna need that arm. We now see and hear Rocket being fed up and saying he's done running away, which tells us that he's ready to face his past and therefore face the High Evolutionary. Just like Peter went against his father ego, Rocket is also doing the same to his father figure, his creator. We now get a proper look at the High Evolutionary's place, his home base, and I didn't think it could look even more disgusting, but it does. It's the MCU version of Half-World from the comics. It's supposed to be a hollowed out body of a former dead Celestial. Sort of a similar thing or parallel with how the Guardians now have their home base in the head of a dead Celestial. Next is a look at our villain, the High Evolutionary, played by Chukwudi Iwuji. Some of you recognize him from Peacemaker that James Gunn also did. Here he looks to be performing more experiments. Now the character was introduced in 1966 in the Mighty Thor comics issue 133 and 134, named Herbert Edgar Hudam. He's evolved his intellect to the highest point for a human. Even though he wears a suit that protects him and heals him when he's wounded, he's still powerful without it. With abilities like superhuman strength, durability, he can even manipulate reality on a subatomic level and has mental powers like telekinesis and telepathy. I mean, he can also evolve and de-evolve other beings, so hence how Rocket Raccoon and his other experiments came to be. So the Guardians are really going to get their hands full on this one. His whole thing is that he's obsessed with creating the perfect being, and the kicker is that Adam Warlock is supposed to be the perfect being, though not by his creation, as it was the Sovereign who created him to kill the Guardians of the Galaxy.
More powerful, more beautiful, more capable of destroying the Guardians of the Galaxy. I think I shall call him Adam.
In the comics though, it was the High Evolutionary who upgraded Adam Warlock with the Soul Gem to become even more powerful than he already was. But in the MCU, we know the Infinity Stones don't exist anymore in our universe. So it will be interesting to see the interactions in this movie if they meet each other and how their connections in the comics will translate here. The next shot shows the Guardians in Half-World with Gamora with them at this point in the movie. They are all wearing jumpsuits, which I think is supposed to mirror their time in prison in the first movie. We see them carrying Drax, who is injured, and we also see Rocket in a sad position later in the trailer, which makes me worried. I mean, these two characters, one of them is going to die, or two of them are going to die. But more so with Drax. I mean, Dave Bautista has already said that this is going to be his last time as Drax. So if he's killed off, I'll not be surprised, but it looks like Rocket may also sacrifice himself for the team. There was a shot in the trailer where he's in the midst of bright white light. Maybe it is a dream sequence or a memory, but we still are going to prepare for a heartbreak when one of the Guardians die. Star-Lord is seen tackling someone from a high structure to the ground. Perhaps he's even saving the person. And then Peter and Groot are running from their ship in the next shot. Might be the High Evolutionary, controlling it. It is possible, with him having telekinesis as part of his power set. We then hear Rocket saying this.
We'll all fly away together one last time into the forever.
Next shot, we get a close-up of the High Evolutionary, a drop of blood from what looks like some sort of a needle or medical device, and Peter screaming in pain like someone just died or is about to die. James Gunn did say that this is going to be the most emotional Guardians movie, and with him saying that not all the Guardians are going to survive, this may be the moment that we lose one of the Guardians or a fake out to the real one that we'll get at the end of the movie. I mean, there's a shot in the trailer where Mantis is crying, like People are not prepared for how emotional this movie is going to be. In the next shot, we see Rocket hugging an otter who in the comics is his soulmate and lover Lila and looks to be another creation of the High Evolutionary. Guardians get attacked by a monster, the same one that they fought at the beginning of the second movie. This may be connected to the Sovereign and Adam Warlock. Perhaps they are even in the same place where they meet Adam Warlock for the first time, since this creature always likes to eat, the Sovereign, their batteries and all that. We then get a look at Will Porter as Adam Warlock, who is punching the blue out of Nebula. They look to be in nowhere per the surroundings and all that. Adam Warlock is a very powerful, like super powerful character, and one of the most powerful characters in the comics. He's basically like Marvel's Space Jesus. Yeah, that's how high ranked he is. But in the MCU, it's still unknown how he will be represented. We'll wait and see when the movie comes out. This is just not going to be one movie for him. He's going to have a big future in the MCU. This movie is supposed to be the final movie in which we see this roster of the Guardians. We know that at least one Guardian will die. Maybe some may retire at the end of the movie, but we will have the Guardians of the Galaxy in the MCU, but it will just be some new teammates that will join, and Adam Warlock may be the first of them. As in the comics, the Annihilation Conquest run, he joined the team and became part of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and the team were wearing the exact same suits. We then get the whole gang together as the shot or scene is in slow motion. I think it's a reference or pays homage to the first film when they were working together in the corridor. Maybe even the second movie as well, since they have a similar shot in that as well. And Groot repeats the line that he said in the first movie. But this time, it's not a goodbye message, but instead some sort of battle cry as he and Peter are firing their weapons back to back, with Groot growing multiple arms to shoot multiple guns as they spin in circles. I mean, this scene I think is going to be amazing in the movie. As we can see, this version of Groot is different because he's the child of Groot who died in the first movie, as James Gunn has now confirmed. Now the trailer ends with a gag with, of course, Drax being Drax and he and Peter going back and forth like they usually do.
And we'll kill anyone who gets in our way.
No, not kill anyone.
Kill a few people.
Kill no people.
Kill one guy, one stupid guy who no one loves.
Now you're just making it sad.
Now that's pretty much it for the Easter eggs and subtle details in this trailer that I could break down. I mean, this movie looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to have tons of action, reveals. It's going to have so much emotions that we are not ready to feel. But anyway, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it. How excited are you for the movie? And if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like, subscribe, turn on that post notification bell not to miss any other video. As always, Nerdy Sage here. See you guys in the next one.